Welcome everybody to this week's Premier League preview. A lot of a lot has happened over the last few days, the last few weeks. Games delayed, managers fired. So lots to talk about. I think today we're going to cover a few topics. We're going to go over Thomas Tuchel, Graham Potter, looking at Arsenal, and looking at Liverpool's woes as well. So lots to discuss. So let's not hold back. Let's jump right in.
They had a
Oh,
time.
welcome, Crisola.
How's it? How you
Crisola.
doing?
I disagree with your comment, but maybe if
We're having an argument here, Cri. We're
or
talking
maybe
about
if we moved,
What's new?
maybe we move to our Arsenal slightly higher, slightly lower than the
They
Chelsea.
got Mr. Process at Arsenal.
Yeah,
No,
trust
just
the
take Mr.
process,
Process
lads. Trust the process. I mean, she's
No,
saying
no, no.
what's
Maybe
been.
if we move to a Tottenham Hotspur.
Why would you want to talk about a club with no history, mate? What the fuck?
No history, League Cup.
No. I know, Carlton, what you're suggesting. That's his next step up or whatever. But let's look at it. Let's look at
okay,
it.
let's
Or
get
let's
Cri.
look at it
Let's get
normal,
Cri
right?
into this conversation. So Cri, we're talking about
Your-
Graham Potter.
Yeah.
Doug thinks it's a bad move. I think it's for him. It's a great move.
No,
Yeah, I know for sure. I mean, the cash is there, right? Even if he gets bombed and even if he gets fired in about 2 weeks' time, 2 weeks time, so about 3 months' time, he's probably cashed in. I would say though, he seems to be a long-term appointment that most of the other big clubs are looking at. If you think about even Arsenal for that matter, right? Even Liverpool for that matter, right? I think he looks like someone that's the real deal.
And that's
That can
exactly
be-
what Doug was
Laughing at
saying, is
Liverpool.
that he should go to a smaller club like Arsenal.
No. I'm just saying. Or if you think about it, think about it history, right? Think about it. All right, let's look at the past 5 years of the Premier League, or the 10 years of the Premier League. Chelsea are a big club. You normally consider Chelsea the top four. Let's top 5 clubs or top 4 clubs, right? They're always over there,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
They got brilliant players. They got brilliant players in each position. We were talking about this, Carlton, me and you yesterday. If you think about the squad, they got a brilliant squad, right?
I agree.
The thing is, would he be given that time? I'm saying it was a too big move for him, because let's face it, a lot of big coaches went from here. Or let's talk Pochettino. He moved from Tottenham to PSG. Was he given the time? No, it destroyed him more. Right?
He was given, what was he given? 2 and a bit years?
Or he moved. All right, let's look at Pochettino.
He got
He
given
moved
one
from a
Champions
Southampton. He moved
One
from a
Champions
Southampton.
League.
Yeah, that's one
But
season.
Pochettino moved from a Southampton.
No. His first season he lost the league. His second season he won the league.
First of
Because
all,
remember
you
his
can't
first
lose
season
the-
he lost to, was it Lille?
No, Lille. Yeah, but he
How
came
do
in
you lose the
only
league in
October.
France?
Yeah, he
Yes,
only
yes,
came
yes.
in October.
Okay,
Yeah,
he
I
came
know,
in
so-
October.
He came after. All right, no, let's look at it. Pochettino
Spursy
moved
gonna
from
Spursy,
Southampton.
bro.
So he did a
Pochettino, all right,
Spurs then.
I may be
He did a
corrected.
Spursy, yeah.
Yeah, to Spurs, and then from Spurs, who's a small club, and not a big history, let's not face it, to PSG, and he got bombed, right? He got basically got. Let's look at this other guy who took over Dortmund. What, that Rose or whatever? What Rose? He moved from Mönchengladbach and then he went to Dortmund.
Okay, let's not get sidetracked here, right? You're using examples that are extremes. Now think about it from a Potter point of view, because he
I
was
would
lined
say-
up.
no,
let's
I would
be
say-
honest. He's been lined up.
I'm talking about big clubs, Carlton. When I talk about big clubs, I'm talking bigger clubs than Brighton, right? I'm talking about history. Talking
Everybody's
about the Newcastle,
Brighton.
a bigger fan base. I'm talking about Newcastle. I'm talking about Everton.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Aston Villa. You can put
Everton.
them-
Sorry, why Everton?
Yeah,
So
no,
all of them,
I'm talking
all of those
about. You know
clubs
what
have
I'm trying to say?
managers.
History. I'm talking about the history of the club, the fan base, and Brighton hasn't got a big fan base, right? They haven't got a thing. What I'm saying, he should have actually positioned himself first, move from a Brighton, maybe to a Newcastle, maybe to a Everton, a Villa, maybe Gerrard is going to get fired anytime soon now, or Leicester. So I'm talking about those. It's all about results, Priyam. Don't
How dare-
sometimes don't have to think with your you don't have to think with your heart, you have to think with your head.
Why it's about
but I think,
Liverpool then?
but lads,
Think
you know
with your
what? The
heart
thing is,
or your head.
lads, but you know what? It's a lot more nuanced than that, right? So remember, I think to Doug's point, there's a fundamental difference between managing smaller players in the dressing room, for the lack of a better word, and big egos in the dressing room.
Exactly. 100%.
When Arteta came in, like, he had to get rid of Özil, he had to get rid of Aubameyang to get the best out of these young players, and everybody else that was just disruptive force that thought they were bigger than the club, right? It's a massive difference for me personally on that note, right? If Arsenal never ever sign a big player again, I am more than happy. Give me the Hayland lads. Oh, by the way, there's a YouTube documentary called Hayland, the Hayland story, or I forget what it's called. I was watching it this morning, but it's about the youth development and what Per Mertesacker is doing with the youth. So I don't think it's far-fetched to say, listen, this is a fundamentally different job than managing football, because you're managing egos. It's so sexy to have all these two world-class players. Oh, and you manage
the fan base.
I mean, at the
Because
best
the
of times,
fans can turn on you.
those folks are toxic at the best of time, right? I mean, it's strange coming from an Arsenal fan, but I mean, those folks are fucking next level, right? But if you consider it is a step up. It is a step up for him, and probably the money makes a lot of sense for him. But also the chance to coach in the Champions League, right? And the chance to win real trophies. So it's a massive step for him. But don't be surprised if you see some clean out of some of these spoiled players before he can see success, like sustained success.
But will he be given that success? Let's face it, this fan base. Let's talk about the fan base, right?
Mm.
We know, sir. We know when things don't go right, the Chelsea supporters are just this thing. You look at United supporters, where they're going on. Automatically you get Casemiro was bought for 17 million, who's 32 years old. They bought Ronaldo, they bought Penn, and let's face it, all those buys, even Anthony, was a panic buy. It wasn't his buys. You can say 10 these things buys, those are Anthony, he wanted the end, but it was also panic buys, and which cost a lot of money.
But it's like, so is there any Man United fans? So you all looks at Liverpool, right? You didn't get a United fan. We'll be keen to get someone here, right, to sort of share their view. But I mean, fundamentally, this has been happening season over season, right? Every year, there's these big name buys that are fantastic on paper and come with a lot of experience and a lot of skill, a lot of class, but never seem to gel and make it work at United. For me, probably the damning example is Di Maria. And don't get me wrong, Anthony scored that goal against us and thinks he's something, but he's fuck all. I've watched it. You watch him shake his leg like a fucking like he's a chicken, right? I mean, I can tell you this much. I saw him rushing over the fans like he's done something great. Gabriel Martinelli and Marquinhos are probably better skilled and have better attitude than him. He's going to be a shitload to handle, not for the opposition players, for the manager.
I think what's good about Ten Hag is that, he managed him for a while, so he knows how he plays. I think at United we can all acknowledge there's a lot of panic buys. They need some structure at their team. So United is a different beast. Is a different beast to Chelsea.
Sure.
I tell you where Todd Bowley, I'll give him some credit. Is he does have a plan. It's just he's going to take a while. He needs a technical director first. And with a technical director, a guy like Potter, who's a pure coach, that's what he is. He's a pure coach, and he can get the best out of these Pulisics, these ZX, these Fofanas. He can get a lot out of those kind of players. Those other players like the Koulibalis and the Thiagos, probably he's not going to get the most out of them long term. But remember, he's on a 6-year contract, isn't he?
So that's probably cracking money if they ever have to fire him. So they've probably done their homework as well. The one thing you have to admit, though, you will find the Chelsea youth players or the youngsters that they sign have proper ability. All of them.
That's exactly the guys like Conor Gallagher, Mason Mount, all these type of players under Potter. There's gonna be some steep learnings.
Well, my question is, as Chris pointed out, will he be able to control the big egos? Because let's face it, the guys like Aubameyang, the guy like Koulibaly, Kante, in a way, he doesn't want to sign the contract. Did you read that thing out today too? It was over there. Ozla
Nah, but
Kante,
I don't think I don't think you should put Kante in that.
not
He's not
Kante.
that.
What's the other? What's the other two people? Central midfielders there. The one came from Madrid.
Kovacic.
Kovacic. And
Kovacic,
what's
yeah.
the
He's
and
class.
Jorginho? All of them got big. Let me tell you, they got big egos. It's going to be
Jorginho,
very, very hard for him to try and stamp his authority. The best thing for him is to get rid of them.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, listen, mate. I mean, fucking Jorginho, right? Remember there was talk of like him being fucking Ballon d'Or material at some point.
Oh, what
My
a joke.
God, eh? So
What
You
talk
a
press
about
him a
talk.
little bit, he's done. You press him a
Talk
little
about-
bit, he's over.
Probably.
Yeah,
I actually
it's-
can't believe people were talking about him for
He's a
Ballon
good
d'Or.
player. If he's a good player,
Yeah,
he's a
but
good
think
player.
of
A lot of
Thiago
protection
Silva.
by him.
You got to think about Thiago Silva. You got to think about, all right, James, the English players will listen to him, right? But forgive me, I was telling Carlton this, when I see his face, he reminds me so much of Southgate. So hopefully he fails like Southgate.
yeah, it's a prejudging a book by its cover there. Yeah, but listen, I mean, exciting times for Chelsea. I mean, Tuchel's got a big payday. He also got a new chick. All these things happening for him very
Yeah,
quickly.
his bro left.
All right, then let's move nicely along to Tuchel. Then why was he fired? What is the reason?
I think there was a clash over there, with personality clash, because they say Tuchel just wanted to be a coach, but he was asked about to step up on certain elements of the club or whatever, and that's where he clashes. He clashes like that. He clashed in Dortmund like that, as well as he probably had certain targets which he wanted, and this guy didn't want to actually get it. But I think the main target from a point of view between me and you, I think it was Ronaldo's clash most of all, because this was Tom Body, you looked at Ronaldo as a merchandise, like like a statement,
Yeah, like a marketing. Yep.
like a marketing plus a statement to all the fans. He's here to win.
Yeah.
And Tuchel
That would
apparently,
have been fun though, right? Either way, it would have been fun on so many
but
different
I think
levels.
Ronaldo would have. I think honestly, Ronaldo would have been good under Tuchel.
That would have been hilarious. I would have
Yeah,
loved it.
but I honestly think Ronaldo would have been good under Tuchel and good under Chelsea because he had these players, this bigger players around him feeding them, having all like Fred or Dominic feeding him. But besides that,
Always back to Fred.
the rumors are that's what was the clash also about, and it was trade after that. And the best thing, I think Tuchel was also looking for a way out because now he thinks he's it. He won a Champions League and a World Cup club this thing. So he thinks he got jobs lined up, and that was a clash, and we were basically it became either.
I'll be
either
honest,
you or
right?
me.
If you look at Tuchel, he looked stressed from about preseason. He wasn't really fully in there. I mean, he was
Yes,
panicking. He was
100%. I think this thing
reacting.
played. I think the structure was gone for him. You know
Because
what
when
they
he
had?
lost to who did he? He lost to Arsenal in preseason, like 4-0.
Yeah, he said no. You needed players and everything. I think honestly the structure was gone for him. The structure of Peter Cech and what's that chick's name? That was gone for him. So
Granitska, yeah.
yeah. So it was like, now he has to get involved in most of the things, deal with more football related, club and because this was basically he was still learning the ropes. He was acting like he was the owner, plus he was acting the director and closing up deals. But he also wanted guidance and help, and he was going to Tuchel or whatever. And I think that's basically where it lands up from. There was a clash of personality, and then you couldn't actually move forward from there.
Okay, so where to next for Tuchel? Well, I mean, he's reached the Chelsea level. He's come up from. He lost his job at PSG, so some would say that's a higher level. Went fairly flat to Chelsea. Now where? Because from Dortmund to PSG, you can see the jump. From PSG to Chelsea, more or less
That's the
level.
job.
So where now?
He has to go where there's jobs available. If he wants to go immediately, you can look at Juventus form. Not very good. Not very good at all. And that's a big club, so they don't want to do well. Maybe want some Champions League experience at Tuchel. Maybe you can do something there. And then Inter. That's the next
Inter.
one. Yeah,
No, I
that's
doubt.
the next one. That's the
I
next one in
honestly think
Italy.
Inzaghi's
So
What-
that's
But
what- what about West Ham?
would Inter fire
Inzaghi.
Inzaghi?
Inter will fire anybody as long as
Fair
they're trying to
enough.
get to the end result. But with Inter, I find it a less possibility for Inter.
I'll tell you where. it
Then
can.
then in La Liga, it's only Sevilla that's on the ropes. Other than that, there's no space there. And then Germany, Dortmund, it depends how they didn't look too good the one time I watched them. So let's see what they do.
What about Leipzig?
No. What
That's,
about AC Milan, guys?
Is the Red Bull money enough for him, or is it too little?
Leipzig, I don't know. I haven't really thought they'll hire someone like Tuchel because
No, but they're
these are-
getting rid of him.
they usually hire
Because-
up and coming guys.
No, because
like
didn't
the
they
players they
fire
got.
didn't they fire
Yeah,
the coach?
the existing coach they got, they fired him. Now they're looking. What about AC Milan, guys?
They,
Ah, but
they've
why
been
would
fine.
you? Why would you? He's champion, isn't he? Champion.
Yeah,
in
you
Italy?
give him the year.
The
So
next
hang
step.
on, right? So for
Remember,
me,
they're
right?
bidding for the next step.
Yeah, purely.
So sorry. When he came into Chelsea, he sorted that defense out like literally the first game that he started playing. So he's got a fairly good tactical brain, right? I think that one of the English clubs that he could possibly go to probably West Ham, and I think I heard somewhere or read somewhere that could be a possibility, depending how well the next couple of weeks go for David Moyes.
So they would get rid of David Moyes.
I think they might. Honestly, that squad is underperforming, right? When you look at, I think they overperformed last year.
But isn't that a step down for Tuchel?
It is definitely a step down.
That's a huge step down.
I don't know, eh? So I don't know. I mean, the thing is, what's the money like? I mean, what's the
with
point
that,
to
yeah,
prove,
I don't
right? I
I
mean,
don't think it's
so-
about money. I think it's about elite
prestige,
level.
Champions League, and that sort of thing. Yeah, I'm sure he's wanted. But yeah, that could be like a
West Ham is actually, if
West
you
Ham
want to
could be
play,
a dark
if you
horse,
still be in
right?
the Premiership,
Yeah.
Like Rafa, if you still want to be in the Premiership, you pick any club.
You
like
and your
Mourinho.
Rafa, I don't know.
Or Mourinho. Mourinho itself. Because Mourinho too is the same thing. Let's not forget about it. He moved from Chelsea to United to Tottenham because he wanted the club. Now he had no other option but to move to Roma. Rafa moved from there to Newcastle, from Newcastle to Everton, and now no one really wants him. So it's, as you said, it's if people when they come into the Premiership, they don't want to actually leave the Premiership because they know where the money is. Let's face it, the smallest club in the Premiership still got more money than the guys in any other league.
So, and also what happens is that
Any other small
London is.
club.
So I mean, London's a massive draw, right? If you can live there, earn good money and live there, I think people love living there once they're there. So I mean, you never know. Any of the London clubs could score just by being there. A lot of the players actually come to the London clubs, purely for the lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
And they
Not
might
for
turn out.
Texas.
Listen. It's been a dry spell for us, but anyway, to be honest, geez, I can't wait for the next chapter that's been written here.
Okay, then perfect transition. Let's move on to Arsenal.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
how do you feel then? Is this now Arteta's team? Is this the team that's going to take you to the top four?
so I think firstly it's an Arsenal team. A lot of the lads coming through from the youth structure, fill you up with a lot of confidence. Emile Smith-Rowe, Bukayo Saka, Eddie Nketiah, still a young lad. I mean, our average age is what, 24, 25, and I know we've played quite a few sort of, call them not the top six clubs, the more sort of middle of the mid-table teams and sort of lower down, but there is
speaking
no
to a
easy-
Liverpool fan, believe us, that doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, mate.
You can beat
it's got
Fulham
the
and
youngest-
Crystal Palace. That's amazing.
100%. I mean, it's got the youngest squad with the youngest manager, and he's on top of the league, right? You really can't ask for a better start than that. right? I mean, he's won everything bar that United fucking catastrophe. But I don't want to dwell on that too much because I can talk about the referee and how momentum switches how momentum switch or whatever. But Stoke are going to Stoke, right? I always say the United Man United is an experiment, right? It answers the question: what if Stoke had the spending power of PSG? And that's what we get. Exactly what we get every single time. They kick us off the park. McTominay gets away with fucking murder, right? And they score on the counter. I mean, they play bullshit football. We still win. Sorry, I'm free to swear on this thing, right?
Go for it. Go for it.
All right. They play bullshit football, but they win. I mean, that's the only loss. That's the only loss that we have. That's the only loss that we have at this point. And Old Trafford away, you're never gonna. It's tough to get anything there. I mean, if you look at Arteta, the football we play this year it just shows how much of work he's done behind the scenes to try and get people thinking the way they should be thinking. And that the chemistry is just there, the connection is just there. That midfield with Granit Xhaka, Thomas Partey, Martin Odegaard, I think he still has a lot to learn, but that midfield just creates so many more chances than they did last year. Fundamentally, because Gabriel Jesus has made a shit ton of difference. You see his heat map. Any given point is like at left back, right back, centre half, centre forward, left wing, right wing, number 6, number 8. He is everywhere. He is everywhere. He is exactly the piece of the puzzle that he is looking for. I think we are a little bit short in central midfield, particularly with the injury-prone Thomas Partey. But by and large, no Arsenal fan can complain. Fuckers will still complain for shit, but for stupid things. But realistically,
to tell you the truth,
no one should complain.
I'm actually impressed with Arsenal. To tell you the truth, I'm actually impressed. Against United, they played very well. They got caught with a counter-attack and stupid goals. 2 stupid goals were given.
No, but as
I told this to Kantan that day and explained I think it was last week, Kantan, where I said if that first goal stood, it would have been a different ball game.
Fundamentally, but even so, even though we lost, to come back to 1-1, Arteta didn't hold for the 1-1, which is what every other club would have done at Old Trafford. He went for the jugular. So yes, it was a little bit of Wenger ball there. In Wenger's years, people say, listen, it's exactly what Wenger did. I don't mind it. I mean, if you're going to beat someone, you got to fucking beat everybody, right?
Yeah. I think Klopp plays the same ball.
Exactly. You lose like a man. Okay, so sorry for being sexist, or I should say that. But what I'm saying is you lose, it's fine, you went for it. Rather than holding on, do what Newcastle did against Liverpool. I mean, that was a ridiculous gamesmanship. They didn't know whether to stick or twist. If they had gone for it, they would have won that game. There are chances there for them. They're not sure whether to run it to the corner flag or cross it into the center, right? And then it was very bad luck for them. But it shows you that this game is very. It's a lot of there's a lot of fortune involved in things, right? Things don't go your way, they don't. I mean, there was enough chances created. We should have killed the game, and absolutely the players have got to own that. But I'd rather manager go for it than try this fucking, happy with 1 point bullshit.
Yeah, I actually think you shouldn't read too much into the United game. You definitely outplayed them. But a question for you then: what is your target this season?
So the target.
What is success?
Success has got to be top 4, right? We've spent money. He's had enough time. Top 4 is what is an absolute minimum, I'd say. Champions League football. I mean, we were so close last season. That shit call from the ref for Son fucking diving in the box against Spurs. That was the worst thing, right? We're very close, and it shows. Sorry. By the way, right? So I didn't watch a lot of Champions League last year, fundamentally because it was depressing. Not because Arsenal weren't playing, but Arsenal were just so far off. We're so far off the pace. This year, I watched it fundamentally just to check. You know what? And I can tell you this: we have a Champions League team with a Champions League manager. We haven't had this since Arsene Wenger, and it's absolutely it's a good place to be. We have a young squad trying to tie down as many big or the big names in this young squad for a long period of time, and most importantly, right, he's got people believing in it. I've always said at this level, the very top pinnacle pro level, UEFA Champions League level, English Premier League level, there's very little difference between the brilliant people, the brilliant players, and the ones that are just sort of average. And if you have a player that suits your system and suits the style of play, brings out the best in them. And I mean, Liverpool is an example of that, right? Robertson was at Hull before he joined, and now he's like unplayable almost, right? Undroppable, unplayable. I know he's injured. I think he should be out for a couple of weeks. But what I'm saying is, if you find the right players, the recruitment must be on point for what you're trying to achieve. We had with Aubameyang, it was a lethal finisher, lad. Give him a chance and he's going to finish it. But what happened with his confidence was, especially in the Arsenal setup, he was never a presser. He was never a presser. Gabriel Jesus gives you no rest on the ball. Nothing. He runs his socks off the entire game, as does Saka, as does Gabriel Martinelli, right? And anybody else like Marquinhos that impressed over that. I think he did an assist and a goal in his first appearance for us. I think he's been brilliant as well.
I actually love Martin Odegaard. Martin Odegaard is fantastic. What a
it's sexy, hey, very sexy. The way he's very much in the
Ozil Champions League this year. You come to Liverpool, don't worry.
There's plenty of talk of that. Hey? I mean, I think,
and we'll send you all Oxlade Chamberlain back.
I know you can keep it, man. Keep it. That's one of the most sort of disappointing careers you'll ever find of an Arsenal
so much
player.
talent, so much.
I mean,
talent.
so and I always use the analogy like this.
Nabil Keita.
Really,
disappointing career.
Nah, Ox is more disappointing, I'd imagine.
So for me, Oxlade,
he's still young. He's still like 27.
No, but he's an athlete, right? And he was a bullet. But I will always say this: he's like an M3. They're so high strung. They're such performance machines that if one thing goes wrong, then everything's gonna start breaking in that vehicle. Right? Is a proper baller, but sadly just never materialized. But yeah, lads, Arsenal absolutely. No one can have any complaints. Oaks will still complain on social media about Arteta shouldn't have made the changes he did. The reason he made the changes was he knew that his squad had the quality to beat these Oaks, and unfortunately we went for it and we got caught in the counter. So one of those things, it's a gamble. He learned from that. I think that the players, there is no player that was despondent after that game. There is no fan. The Oaks were upset, but literally they woke up the next morning and think, I tell you what, no one in the Arsenal space was absolutely gutted, we shouldn't have lost that game and it was a horrible performance. It wasn't a typical Arsenal sort of, what do you call it? Kickback. What's the word? There wasn't so much of angst amongst the supporters as the previous weeks. It was everywhere. I mean, if any independent person, objective person watched that game, you'd be happy with Arsenal. Very happy with Arsenal.
I agree. So of the 6 then, who's the 4? Who's the 2? Because 6 doesn't go into 4. Who's falling out?
Jeez. It has to be United, mate. Has to be United and one other.
Who's the one other?
I'd love to say Spurs, but Conte's got them this 1-0, 0-0 fucking hold, this Jose Mourinho type anti-football, and that wins you points, right? I make it a point not to watch Tottenham play, but the little that I did, the highlights and that, you can see that they stick around in games long enough to snatch that 1-0 or 2-0.
Yeah, to be fair, they haven't been playing well, but getting results.
That's what Conte does, though.
That's what Conte does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very boring.
Absolutely.
Very boring.
I don't think it's that boring. So you saying so?
I think it's very boring.
Who's your top 4?
Oh, it's got to be City, Chelsea, Liverpool, and Arsenal. And not in that order.
Oh wow, City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal.
Sorry, not in that order. Right now, right? Man City are streets ahead of everybody else. Yes, the log says something else, but the best of the rest at this point is Arsenal Football Club, lads. I can tell you that much. The best, you watch every single game, and there are kinks here and there, and that one United defeat was shit. But the best of the rest is Arsenal. Pep 2.0. Loving it.
All right, confidence is high. Okay, Pri, so what's your concern with Arsenal then? Do you think they'll make it?
if they beat Arsenal, then they won't make it. The Arsenal I watched for many years. They won't. If they beat themselves, they won't make it.
No, so to be
To
honest,
back you up, they sold fourth position last season. It wasn't come down. It never come down to the Tottenham game.
That's a
They
good
got
point.
lost
That's a good
to
point.
Southampton. They
no,
lost to
correct.
Everton.
No, absolutely.
But-
there were
but
3
this
games we
year-
lost in a row. Yeah.
With this season, you can see the process.
Progress.
The process is moving forward, and you can see
Trust
the passing.
process, lads.
Everyone's comfortable on the ball, which is what I think Arteta wants because he copies Pep. So
Yeah,
everyone's
why not?
comfortable. Exactly. Why not?
I'll take it.
Exactly. Everyone's comfortable on the ball. He's getting the players he wants. So the only thing is depth for the wide positions. I can't see it in my head who's the depth, but
No. So
Martinelli and someone I don't know. Saka and who I don't know.
I don't know. 100%.
Nketiah and
Christian, I want to ask you a question, right?
Jesus.
Honest question.
Yeah.
A very honest question. If he does Arsenal and he does not make top
That's
four,
us.
is
Yes,
Arteta
This is-
gone?
No, he's not. They are way too invested. They've drank the Kool-Aid, lads. Let me tell you something. They're backing this oak 100%.
He's the highest bidder.
No. Lad. He's got Aubameyang club captain fired. He kept a dossier of everything that he'd done wrong, right? They back this oak like
Stitches get stitches.
no, so they back this oak like you can't believe. Him and Edu have a very good relationship. He's got a fantastic relationship with the board. They have gone way too far down this. If next year he doesn't achieve something, I'd say yes. But remember, right? He'd I think just qualified for Europa last season and they handed him the contract. They knew then it was already a agreed thing that this is our guy, we're backing him, and they saw enough. And if you watch that All or Nothing, I'm not sure how many of you have, the All or Nothing documentary, it shows you how meticulous this oak is. He's a brilliant.
By playing Anfield in the background, obviously he's very meticulous and then getting banged for no.
No, so remember, right? When did they score the goals? Huh? So the biggest issue. So I've watched Arsenal get rocked at Anfield every single time, and the biggest thing, and he's noticed it as well, it's the first 10, 15, 20 minutes. You cannot.
No. He got beaten when he opened his mouth against Klopp.
No, 100%. So that's just the media spin. That's just the media spin. You see when they conceded those goals. Those goals were later in the game. I think at halftime it was still 0-0, or was it 1-0? It wasn't like previous years. Previous years there was like 10 minutes we were 4-0 down, like ridiculous. That game there, what he did, yes, people will laugh. Listen, he got his players ready as best he knew for what he experienced himself as a player not so long ago. There's nothing wrong with it. You can laugh at madness. You can laugh at madness, right? Every genius was mad at some point, right? And I can tell you this much: there's nothing wrong with that. Sorry, just to get back on the depth. The depth in Arsenal is not so much the depth you see; it's the versatility of each player. Let me explain to you. Zinchenko plays left back. He can fill in for Xhaka, right? The only two people that play in their positions probably the goalkeeper and Gabriel, the defender. Everybody else is fairly fluid.
Saka and Martinelli, are there any wing forwards for them?
So to cover them, so we have Marquinhos. We have Marquinhos. We have Marquinhos, and what happens? We have Nketiah that slots in for Jesus.
Nketiah for Jesus, straight up center.
Straight up center. But those oaks can play on those front three are fairly fluid.
Yeah, but when you're picking a team, you're gonna, if someone's injured like Martinelli,
sure. There. So, and I mean that's the what's the concern, right?
And the right back is the other one. I'm not sure if you have one. Tomiyasu and I'm not sure.
Sorry, Ben White's been filling in at right back. It's faster than you think. It's
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Not a traditional like a right back, but
he's been proper.
It's more about the system that's working at Arsenal than
correct.
That's the question, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
That's working well.
So you'll spend 200. You'll spend a lot of money, like 200 and something. The bigger spenders in the last 5 years or whatever, last 3 years or last 2, whatever it is. If you all fail this year, is Edu gone? Once Edu is gone, you will keep Ateta? Think about it. End of the day, football is about business. It's about being, you all did all this investment to be in the Champions League.
Arteta's
absolutely.
Arteta is going to be like the ANC, they're always going to fail, but you see them there.
You
Up there all the time. You can't get rid of them.
So a couple of things to that, right? So there's a saying, right? There's a saying that says culture trumps strategy every day of the week. In business, in football as well, it works the same. There is a proper synergy from the top all the way down now. Right from the top all the way down. Signings like Pepe, Aubameyang won't happen again. I can guarantee you that much. As far as your question about the business, every person he's brought on board is now worth more than what they've paid for him.
Okay.
Right. So if I'm a shareholder, if I'm a shareholder, if I'm the fucking what's these oaks name? Or even what's this Cronkies? If I'm a shareholder and I think, what have you done with my money? He will tell you your 200 million is now worth 400. He's also been able to put in structures with Per Mertesacker there. And so Per Mertesacker understands the club, right? One level below. Arteta understands the club, one level above that. Edu understands the club. There's a synergy there. There's a synergy.
I ask you something, right? The reason
tangible.
why Klopp is lasting so long, and when he was given the chance to come in there, and Tom Warner actually brought this up. He was actually doing an interview, and even Henry did an interview. I think it was the New York Times or something like that.
So you can't trust
They
him.
both actually came out and said Klopp is a different breed of a manager. And remember, when they're comparing managers, they're comparing with their great baseball managers which they hired and all the coaches which they hired. And Tom Warner actually told us, you can put Klopp, he's that good of a leader because you can put Klopp even in a corporate and he'll be able to run. It's just the way he carries himself, the charisma he got, and everybody's on board. Even them, like when they speak, they don't speak about sometimes football. They just speak in general and this thing. They're just drawn to his. Some people are born with it. Let's face it.
No, fundamentally, right? So
how did
the
you
one
make this
thing
about Klopp then?
wait. So talk about great managers, right? No.
Do you know? This is what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's why Klopp was given that time. We had a plan or whatever his plan, and that's what they've all bought into it. Do you see Arteta? And you must remember, Klopp has also got the fans by his side. Klopp knows how to get the fans on them. Do you think Arteta got that?
That's what leadership. So a couple of things. Arteta's a lot younger.
That charisma.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Or that
right?
thing with the fans and everything to patience. Because I can tell you, some of the fans are not, especially what's that guy you on YouTube and all you always see.
I don't fucking follow those guys.
Robbie.
I don't follow those fuckers. They're just doing it for likes.
If he doesn't make Champions League football this season.
So yes, the short answer is absolutely yes. And a couple of things. Arteta has age on his side. He's got time on his hands. They've invested so much in this manager and everything that he stood for. He's now the new architect. Wenger was the architect of Arsenal, and his reign was supreme. Arteta is going to be just as good, just as successful. Fundamentally, Thugs, just to come back to your point, right? The reason why Klopp is so loved, he appreciates the culture and what it means to coach that club. Am I wrong, right? And he put those building blocks well in even when they weren't successful. And Oaks were laughing at this means more, whatever. He knew exactly what he was doing. He got every fan's buy-in. That's every single person. He got every fan's buy-in. He understood the culture. He had this. He's not to mention he's got the support of this money ball that you guys are operating there, right? The science and the stats and all that. He's got that. He'll make it work. He understands there's a master plan, but he understood the first thing you do is get everybody on side, and he's done that. With Arteta, that job is very easy because he's worn the number 8 for us, right? And he's been a very good servant for that club. He served under Wenger. He served under Klopp under Pep as an assistant. He ultimately, what you love for is the love child of those two people, right? Brilliant, beautiful, flowing football and winning trophies. On the other hand, so I think he understands the culture, and I think everybody's drank the Kool-Aid here, lads. All the fans, the manager. I would be very surprised. I would be super surprised because he was supposed to be bombed like last year, twice, and the year before that. Right? Let's be honest, right? Some of those results were awful, and it wasn't just about the results because they don't tell the full story. Football was horrible. Football was horrible, but he needed to get them He needed to get them playing in the way that he wanted to, right? And yeah, I think it'll take a fucking catastrophic failure for them to bomb him. A catastrophic failure.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
After the international breaks.
Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and look out for part 2 and our upcoming FPL videos as well. Interesting times, interesting weekend ahead, so stay tuned.